Hi guys, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the whole identity thing that I was talking about last night when I was kind of half asleep and a little groggy. Um, I started thinking about a couple of other things that have to do with the whole identity thing and why we put labels and all that kind of thing. Um, Again, I said a little bit about the insecurity factor. Um, we, it's hard for some people to admit that they don't fully know themselves. Um, and this sort of concept goes for a lot of different things. It's I think similar to the reason why people want to use God for an answer. They don't know, and they don't want to admit that they don't know. So they're like, well, this is what it is, and this is the explanation for this. So instead of saying, I don't know fully yet what my identity is, who I am as a person, they just slap a label on it and say, well, this is what I am as a person. This is who I am. This explains everything. When it doesn't. And I don't know. Again, it's an insecurity thing. It's flat out an insecurity thing. And like I said last night, you sort of have to be willing to admit that insecurity before there can be any change. And you have to admit to the fact that there is more complexity than that one label will encompass. Um, and I'm really, I'm aware of the fact, and I wish more people were aware of the fact that it is a changing thing, and that I know I'm getting this from somebody else, but somebody said, like every 10 years you're a completely different person, and there is never going to be one way of saying or one thing that'll completely explain who you are, because it's an ever changing thing, and it's about the it's about the journey, not the destination. It's one of those kinds of things. But I kind of wanted to reach out to Transitional Ape and ask him what his opinion on this particular thought about labels as sort of half-assed explanations as to who people are, and as a sort of a cop-out to, instead of admitting that they don't know who they are yet, or that they're still in the process of learning who they are, that they'll just be like, nope, that's it, I'm that one thing, and I'm done. And I don't have to think about it anymore, and I can be just that and nothing else. And again, I gave a few examples last night of like, oh well, I'm categorized as a Democrat, I'm categorized as a gay woman, I'm categorized as an atheist, all of these different things that people could be categorized as. But it isn't just those things. Some people that I've encountered in my life, they're completely categorized themselves as being a mother. That's all I am. My children are my entire thing, and there's nothing else to my personality, and there's nothing else that defines me. Or now, of course, I had a few other examples that were a little bit better in explaining what my whole point was, that I've completely forgotten. And again, I said the whole nationalities thing last night, and people being like, "No, I'm Puerto Rican and I'm proud, and that's all, and that's all. I'm gonna wear Puerto Rican flags on my shoes, and that's it, and that's all I have to be." Or, or again, I'm a Christian and I'm defined by my love of Christ, and that's all I ever talk about, and all I ever have to be, and all I have to strive for, and that's the beginning and the end. And I think in general, and I think most people would agree, those people are really boring to talk to. Like, you really can't have a conversation with any of those people, because it will always be, well, how does this relate to that one thing? And again, I'm sort of reaching out to Transitional Ape to see what he has to say about this, since it was his little video that started this ball rolling in the first place. And again, like, how boring it is that when you encounter somebody who is so defined, like goth kids, that's all they are, and that's all they care about, and that's all they want to be. People who are obsessed with a sport, people that are like a rabid sports fan, and all they can talk about is that one thing, and that's all that they find defines them. Anime kids, oh god, anime kids. That is their entire world perspective, is from that one thing. There's this one guy I know who's like a ridiculous comic book geek. And no matter what else I try to talk to him about, it always spirals back to comic books. And, you know, again, it's like those things, but again, it can also be a political agenda, or, you know, like anything like that. Or again, like I said, some mothers do it in that way, that they're like, that's all they are as a mother. Or same thing with fathers, grandparents. That's all they want, is that one thing to be, so that they can simplify themselves down, and they don't have to think about what other aspects of their personality they're neglecting. You know? It's not, I guess it's easier for some people to be like, well, that's all I am. And that's all I need to be, and I don't have to think about other things. And if it doesn't relate to that, then I don't need to think about it. I don't need to use my brain for it. And I think we would be a lot happier as a species if we all accepted the fact that we can say we don't know. Even when it comes, because I mean, I guess for some people, it's difficult to say, I don't even know myself well enough. But we don't. We're complicated, you know, examination and self-reflection, I think, are very important things. And that, you know, it takes a really long time, and it takes a lot of self-reflection to realize what it is we really want, and what it is we really need, and what it is that we're trying to do with our lives, and what, you know, what we really love and what we really hate, and all of the different elements that make us people. And for some people to just be like, no, I don't need to really pay attention to all of that, because I have this nice little snuggly thing that I can rub and can be my security blanket, and that won't make me, you know, have to think about anything else ever in the whole wide world. And that will be, you know, that's my one little, you know, candle, that's my one little light that I have to pay attention to, and everything else can fuck off. And you know, it's the people who wouldn't let themselves be defined, and wouldn't let themselves be put into little boxes, and thought about tons of different things, and were tons of different things, and, you know, it's sort of, in a really stupid way, it reminds me of that interview that Billy Bob Thornton did recently, where he got all pissed off, excuse me, about, because he was on a radio interview about his band, and somebody was asking him, like, about his movies. It was like, oh, well, is music your first passion? And he got all pissed off. And I'm not, because I really dislike Billy Bob Thornton, but, you know, it's that kind of thing where people do want to put you in those little boxes, and I can understand a little bit of the frustration of that. I mean, he was coming more from an area that he wanted to be known for his music, and don't talk about movies, because what the fuck does that have to do with anything? And it's like, well, you are kind of an actor also, and so... But yeah, but that's, like, sort of my point, is that, you know, why define one person by just that one thing? It's like, yeah, he's an actor, but he's also kind of a douchebag, and he bangs weird chicks, probably has a lot of STDs. No single one of those things defines Billy Bob Thornton, but it's the, you know, we are, what is the whole thing? We're not the sum of all our parts, we're more than the sum of all our parts, kind of thing. There's so many little bits and pieces that make up who we are. So, But anyway, I'm starting to ramble at this point, so I just wanted to do that little talk and you know, see if anybody responds and has any other thoughts on this. So, bye for now.